they did not enter the promised land. The reason why they didn't enter the promised land is because they didn't enter rest. And the reason why they didn't enter rest is because the gospel was preached to them, but they didn't mix it with faith. So then they had no faith. So imagine you're walking in the wilderness and you're trying to get there, but every day you're growing weary and weary and weary. And so Moses would remind them every day about the promised land, that it's flowing with milk and honey, that the houses are so big, the wells are so deep, and there's so much provided for them. And so every day, all they can see is the sand. All they can see is the heat. All they can see is the desert. All they can see is lacking food. And they were weary, And so not everybody got to enter the rest. It was only those that are mixing their faith. Okay? So God is telling us that we are to hear the gospel get preached to us, and when we mix it with faith, that's when we believe. So in other words, you can't open up the whole Bible and receive faith. Go open up the 10 Commandments right now and read those and see how much faith you'll have. Right? You won't have any faith. In fact, you'll grow weary. God, I can't keep these commandments. I can't do this. So it's the word of faith is what we. And so this is what I also want to get to you that not everybody understands the gospel. I don't know if you realize how blessed you are that you actually understand that it is not your good works, it is not based on you, that I'm going to let that go, and that it's God that gave me his righteousness. It's God that did it all. Because let me tell you something, there's so many people that when I go to tell them this news, not only do they reject it, but they say, I haven't sinned.
Oh, wow.
They really truly believe that ever since that they came into salvation with Jesus, that they are actually not sinning, And so, for our brains to really understand the gospel, God had to orchestrate so many different things to happen in your life. Because for me to come along and tell you, hey, Brian, you're not under the old covenant anymore, you're under the new covenant. You're not going to understand what I'm saying without first understanding the lesson of what a covenant is. So it's always a lesson that you learn that will lead to another lesson, that will lead to another lesson, that leads to the final light bulb that goes off. Oh, I got it. So many people don't understand this truth. We are honored to be people that have received the gospel. That's why our church, we might be small in numbers, but we are mighty in quality, because we are surrounded by people that all understand the gospel and that understand the truth. Because, like I said, you go into the world, you're surrounded by 100 people. In that 100 people, one person might understand the truth out of 100. It's not even 1 out of the 10. The numbers might even be, it might not even be 1 out of 100. It could be 1 out of 1,000. I'm not really quite sure what the numbers are, what the percentage is. But in the last 5 years that I've learned the gospel, y'all know me, I go everywhere, I'm preaching nonstop, right? I have only met 2 people that have come into really, really, really understanding the truth of the gospel. No, sorry, this is my very side thinking, sorry. Anyways, I have only seen 2 people really receive that. Whoop. And even at the beginning, I remember when I first met Lynn, in the first 2-3 months, well, but she kind of fought against me. And even me, like my first 2-3 months. I'm like, and that's actually a good thing. We're not supposed to just hear news and say, yep, that's it, okay, I believe it. You're supposed to be kind of like, well, all right, what? Then go and read it for yourself. Right. If you believe me for what I've just said, you've already fell. What anybody, Pastor Joe, any of us who preach you a word, I teach all about Nephilims. Don't just believe me because I tell you. Go read it for yourself.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, go read it for yourself. So it's the same thing that we have a desire in us just to go learn it for ourselves. Again, just don't take my word for it. Go and read it for yourself. So many people don't invest time in learning and finding out the truth and finding out what someone is saying. So this whole world, if we can understand the demonic powers that is placed over America, every single thing that we indulge into is a satanic practice. It's something that the enemy has. Even our television shows. Our television shows, the fact that you turn on TV every day, you sit there and you watch other people live their life. It's like we grow in the complacency of our couches, no longer living our life, but we would rather sit and watch a box and watch other people live their life. You understand? So all of it is demonic strategy. The enemy knew that our works, first, the root, it starts with imagination. Because the imagination will become a thought, the thought becomes a confession, the confession becomes a walk, becomes the doing, right? So the enemy knew that if it all started at the imagination, well, we're going to put a box right in front of their eyesight and make them see what we want to show them. So you sitting there watching television all day long, it is dulling your imagination. Humans are imagining extremely less because of television. Look at a book versus a movie, for example. The power of word, because Jesus is the word. Think about it, he is a book. You go and you read the book, and your imagination will just have all these different pictures and beauty while you're reading the book, and then you go watch the movie, and you're like, oh, that was, I guess everyone's saying it's a great movie, but it was an alright movie. It was extremely limited. That's why television limits our imagination. And the enemy knew this. The enemy knew this. Even all the way to having abortions. And of course everybody knows that that's satanic, but they don't really understand the bigger satanic picture. It is sacrifices to the enemy. And then think about it. In order for a covenant to be established, sacrifices have to be given. So the more and more these sacrifices are going on, the more and more the covenant between mankind and Bel, between mankind and the devil, is growing more and more and more. The demonic powers that are over us is more and more. So just the point of it is that this whole life, the enemy knew he's trying to get his message and God is trying to get his message. And so it's a fight, trying to learn Jesus or learn Antichrist. Okay, so I just want to make us realize how honored we are to know the truth. That if you really understand the divine orchestration that God had behind you learning the truth, then you can understand that, wow, God, it is your grace that brought me here. It is your grace that brought me to this truth. And thank you, Father God. And so, I wanted to, because I didn't. Although the works were finished from the foundation of the earth. I didn't finish that last word, but I love, foundations of the world I made. And I love that because everything was finished at the foundation of the world. Way back when the world began. I've heard a lot of theologians and even scientists believe that we existed before we existed.
What? Oh, I don't get it.
We existed in heaven before we existed on earth. We existed in heaven. See, we think eternity is a straight line. We think eternity is us at childbirth, and now I'm growing as a kid, now I'm an adult, now I'm getting old, now I pass away, now I'm going into eternity. And we see a straight line, just like I just walked across that carpet, a straight line. It's not a straight line. Eternity, we know, is the 8.
Oh,
infinity
yeah,
symbol.
yeah.
It's not a straight line. So we were invented. We were here before the foundation of. You ever feel like you're going through life and you're like, man, I did not sign up for this. I didn't agree to this. It's because literally there's things on earth, in heaven before we came to earth that we agreed to. Somehow or another, I believe that I agreed to live with cerebral palsy. I agreed to say, okay, God, I know I'm going to be injured and it's going to slow me down, but it's going to be for your testimony and for the glory of you. Go ahead.
My little brother, when he was born, when he got a little older, I told my stepmom and my dad, I picked y'all to be my parents.
Exactly, that too. And that's even a boss baby. But and you pick your parents, and I really do believe that too. And I know I'm bringing up boss baby, but again, God even showed me that all of man's imaginations, all these movies that we make and that we can imagine a little baby being in heaven and saying, yeah, I'm going to be a boss. And I'm picking those parents, and I'm picking my role. It's because the only reason why our souls are even, remember, like I said, it starts with the imagination. The only reason why our souls are even conjuring that idea is because it's actually true. It's because we were actually in heaven, choosing our parents, choosing our roles, and we were agreeing. Somewhere along the way, Brian, you knew you were going to live almost all your life with no husband and with no wife and no family. I'm sorry. I missed the saying husband. I'm sorry. There's no gender confusion here. There's no gender confusion here. It's a wife. But you agreed to be single for God. You agreed to be, of course, our flesh is getting antsy, and God did make man to be with woman. Go ahead.
I'm like, okay,
if God knew what type of parents my parents want to be, and God knew my parents were going to be awful, why did God put me with? If God knows our parents are going to be awful, and that they're not really for us, why did He put with those?
Yeah. Well, actually, if you read a lot in Psalms, so many times it says, "My mother and father forsake me, but God, you never forsake me." It's actually a blessing. If you read in the Psalms, a lot of it's a blessing for you to be forsaken by your parents, because it's when you're forsaken by your parents is that you really, really turn to them. People who have the most awesome dad, little girls who have the most awesome dad, they tend to always turn to their daddy, and they never really turn to their Heavenly Father. It just takes them a lot longer. People who are forsaken by their parents turn to their Father, Heavenly Father, way faster. So with everything, it's just not for us to question. I tell my kids that all the time. I'm such a preacher, and I'm on fire for God so much that there's a specific reason why God had you born under me. You know what I'm saying? Because if it wasn't meant for you to have a calling, I know for a fact you have a calling. Because God would have had you being born under some other person if it wasn't for, because being born under me is going to help instill your calling. So, and same with your brothers and sisters, the exact siblings that you have in your family. All the way that. God, to understand that God orchestrated everything. Can you imagine the steps that God had to have made to set your parents to meet up together? But not only that, but then to set up the parents before Him. To set up your grandparents to meet each other so that your dad would come about. So that he can meet your mom. So that you could come about. And then let's go back even more. How your great-grandparents came together to meet. Think about how He had to orchestrate one of them to feel like, you know what, today I feel like I'm going to go over there to the meat market and I'm going to have me some steak and I'm going to go, and then bam, they go to that meat market and they run into the one they're meant to be with, and the next thing you know, they're having a baby, and that baby's name was always written in the book of life. Think about how God had to orchestrate that man to have a hankering for a steak that day. Seriously, if we really sit down and think about the complicity of how much that God had to orchestrate for you to be born, and you question why you're here, you question your very own existence, but yet from the foundation of the world, God foreseen you. God said, Brian is going to be born. In fact, not only just born, but he's going to be born in 1982 or 81. I forget what year you're born.
82.
I said it right. He's going to be born in 1982, just so I can line up everything so he can be grown during the year 2000 and so forth. It's during the time, of the end days and the final hours. I tell people that if you're right here, right now, in the end days, you're here right now for a reason. He would have had you been born in the 1300s. God called you for end time ministry. Our ministry has already begun. Our ministry began at the foundation of the world. So I think that's been the lesson more than ever, is realizing that we're not waiting for life to start. Life has already started. We are already in it. We are already in our ministry. Amen. Okay, so we can go ahead. So yeah, I've already got ahead of myself. But imagine for a moment the exact sequence that had to happen to create you. Like really just try to wrap your mind around that, because I feel like that can just be a sermon all by itself. We can sit there and think about it for the beginning of the day of, wow, all the work that He went through just so you could be born. And not only be born, but in this exact place, to meet me, to meet Marissa, to meet my daughter, to meet Pastor Joe, to be drawn. Remember, didn't you say a story about how you came across North Cornerstone? Because it wasn't for you coming North Cornerstone, it helped you run into the people, to help you run into understanding the gospel, to help you run into understanding the wisdoms that you need to understand, right? So everything, and so that's basically what the sermon's about. I'm trying to get to the fact that He is the most awesome orchestrator, and that He has orchestrated everything. Even you think it's a mistake, for the marriage, but no, it wasn't. Only because understanding how God orchestrates everything. Now, we do know there's sometimes seasons for things, but we think it's meant to be a long time, and it's meant to be a season. So of course, we can misinterpret things and kind of like get stuck in a rut and stay in one place. But the river's always flowing, so no matter what, we all end up at the same place at the same time. And so this is where I don't know. I'm trying to get too ahead of myself. Okay. So the main question that people are always asking, not just believers, even non-believers, it's to try to solve the miracle of our origin to the mystery of our destiny. The miracle of how we were born and the mystery of where are we ending up at. So even non-believers ponder this. They ponder, how come, where I was born, how was I born, and where is it ending up? And so I'm just trying to show you that it's not a straight line. It's not a straight line. Remember, it's that infinity symbol. And so we were actually here. You know, there was a certain time that I used to think that God started Earth, it got chaotic, and then he decided, okay, we need redemption. So then he sent Jesus. I didn't realize that Jesus was there at the beginning. I didn't realize that God already had Jesus. Jesus was already the plan. Yeah, I thought that it was a contingency plan. Is that the word? Yeah. There it is. I thought that it was that. And it was like, okay, well, that didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen, so let me just go ahead and send Jesus because he sure needs to save this, you know? But I didn't realize that Elohim, whenever God said, let there be light, and we seen it, and it was good, I didn't realize that he was saying we, and it was Elohim. And the reason why he's saying we seen it, and it was good, is because he's talking about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Jesus was there creating the world. And that's why you find it later on in John. It said that he who was made before the foundation of the earth, that nothing was made without him. Nothing was made without Jesus. Yeah. And in fact, I remember that revelation of like when God said, let there be light, he was saying, let there be Jesus. He was saying, let there be gospel. Let there be grace. Let there be love. Let there be a way out. Let there be light. And actually, the original Hebrew even says, let light be, which I love that because it sounds like a bully. It sounds like darkness was just this bully. You know, let light be. You know, let Marissa be. It goes back to our individuality and the light that we're shining out of us, and how the enemy wants us to stop our individuality whenever we get with somebody, whenever we get with a mate. But yet God is saying, let light be. Let your individuality that I have created you to be, let it be. Let it be. Amen? So he wrote history before it even happened. He wrote everything that happened, everything that's going to happen, our history and our future. He's already wrote it. It's already written. And so the more that we really, really understand this, the more that we can just rest in the fact that it's all ending up in the same place. It's all going to end up in the finished work. Amen? Okay, go ahead. Okay, so I just want to give a couple scriptures that it says, for this says the high and the lofty one, that who inhabits eternity, whose name is holy. He inhabits eternity. And you know what inhabit means? As in, that's where he lives. He lives in eternity. He doesn't live in our timeline. He is not constricted to time like we are constricted to time. He lives outside of time. He lives in eternity. And so Isaiah 46:10 is declaring the end from the beginning, from the ancient times that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and will I do all my pleasure. So his counsel will stand. In other words, that his words, his declarations, his wisdom, his ways will stand. What? They're declaring the end from the beginning. Right? So he was always there. He knows the end and he knows the beginning. He knows exactly who you're going to end up with. He knows what sin that you're going to commit. He knows your position in heaven. He knows you from the beginning. He knows you from the end. Okay, so this is where I'm trying to show us. Imagine this line. If you want to get closer, you can. This is the line. This is a line, a timeline for us. Right? Past, present, and future. It goes past, present, and future. Okay? So eternity is not on that time. Remember I told you that we think that this is I was born, here's my past, here's my present, here's my future, and eternity is now afterwards. No, eternity is not even in the line. Eternity is outside of time. So eternity is there. Right? The cross is outside of time, just like God, just like eternity, because the cross is in eternity. That's why, you ever watch Joseph Prince, and he talked about perfect tense. We understand past tense, present tense, future tense, but there's this other tense in the Hebrew language, in the Greek language, called perfect tense. So when Jesus cried out at the cross, it is finished. It was in perfect tense. In other words, it is finished in the past, it's finished in the present, and it's finished in the future. And so the more that we can see that this is the cross, eternity, the cross is in the eternity, now you can see how come God is able to forgive you for all your past, present, and future.
Because Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm like,
But also he's outside of time. He's looking down and he can see your past, your present, and your future all going on at one time.
oh wow.
Look at that. Imagine what it is. So imagine like a parade. And so if you're standing in the street, in the parade, the way that you see the parade is you see it by cart, float by float. You know, as soon as that float's gone, you don't even see that float anymore. Now you see the next float. Float's gone, now you see the next float, right? But now say if you change your perspective and you leave that playing field, because the playing field being on the ground, you're on the same level of a playing field. But now let's say you leave that playing field and go and get into a helicopter. How does that parade look? Now you look down from the helicopter, you can see all at once. You can see the station where they're all starting up out at, where they're all getting everything ready. They're starting off. You can see the middle of the parade. You can see the ending of the parade. You can see where it ends, and you can see where it's going. And so I just want to encourage you all today that we have to step out of this line. We have to step back and see the perspective of God. See it how he sees it. And of course, he's the one that sees it that way. So we have to say, God, help me. Help me stop seeing it float by float. Help me step back and see the whole picture. Help me see what you see. And again, it reminds me of that prophet. And I know that y'all probably seen me share the picture on Facebook and how the camp of Israelites, they made the shape of the cross. But whenever you're in the camp surrounding by them, what do you see? You see gossipers. You see men sinning. You see men being men. And human being human, right? It's not until you step back and you climb up the mountain and you see the camp from above that you see the cross and you see the picture that it makes.
Amen.
So God's perspective of us is always far different than the perspective we see. So in our earth, in our daily basis, we're seeing that parade. Like right now, Brian, all you're seeing is that your promise isn't here. Your deliverance isn't here. You're seeing that you're alone. You know, and so we see our circumstances, but God, he's on the outside, you know? And compared to eternity, life is only 60 years, 70 years, right? The average lifespan is 60, 70 years, right? 60, 70 years is nothing compared to eternity. So God is seeing that you had your wife before you even got to earth. You've only gone the last 33 years without a wife, but you had your wife for eternity before you even stepped into time. And you will have your wife for eternity after you step out of time. You know? And so the more that you see the bigger picture, that for eternity you've had a soulmate. But yet only now for just a glimpse of 30-something years, you haven't. It's just really, really important for us to continue to step back and see the time. See it how God sees it. Keep it at God's perspective. Okay, go ahead and go to the next. Okay, let's flip it. That's what happened. The picture did change. It didn't look like it, but it changed. Look, we all arrive in eternity at the same time. So everybody, all like Paul, David, everybody from the past, everybody from the present right now, and everybody who's being born in the future, we all arrive in eternity at the same time. At the same time. That's why some people think that, like, okay, well, my loved one passed away. I kind of feel bad for him. He's in heaven without me. He's waiting for me. No, it's not. It's not so. To them, it's a twinkling of an eye. We all, like the moment that they pass away, and then Jesus returns, because we're not going to pass away. We're gonna get raptured. And the moment that Jesus returns and raptures us, and the moment that they're receiving their new body in heaven, to them it felt like a second. They weren't like, hey, did you die with me? No, I didn't die with you. I got raptured 20 years later. It just feels like it's all at the same time. So
that's cool.
A lot of theologians have already come to discover this and realize this, that yeah, we all join eternity at the same time. Amen? So I want to compare us to a computer real quick. Okay, so we understand a computer has hardware and it has software. Okay, hardware is everything that you can see, everything that you can touch. It's the hardware of the computer. You can even open it up and see all the way, all the nicks and crannies of just how that computer runs. And there's a lot of hardware going on right there, right? But then the computer also has software. The software is the intelligence of the computer. It's basically, that they're able to take CDs, and you know how you can put a CD inside your computer and install the software for something to happen. You can't see the software. Think about it, right? Can you weigh the software? Is it weighable? If I was to take that USB disk that you just plugged into the computer, and I was to put it on a scale, it's going to weigh, let's say 10 grams. But now let's say if I take that same flask and I put millions of software bits inside of it, and now I put it back on the scale, is it going to weigh heavier? It's going to weigh the same. It's going to be the same weight. Because, okay, it's a disc. It's a flask. Imagine a disc, right? And I put information on the disc. Imagine you have a CD, like a music CD, and now you go burn music onto that CD. Is that disc going to weigh any different whether it's got music on it or if it's empty? It's going to weigh the same, right? So the fact that software does not weigh anything means that it's not constricted by time. So what I'm trying to say to you is that we, like a computer, our thoughts, our soul, our emotions, all of that is our software. It doesn't actually weigh anything, right? And then our bodies are our hardware. So we are eternal beings. We are temporary residents in a disposable hardware environment.
Amen.
Okay, you understand? So this body, this hardware of ours, is temporal. That's why I love that post that I was sharing the other day about why do we invest into the temporal, but we don't invest into that which is eternal. So I want to encourage y'all today. The whole point of this is what God's been teaching me. The whole point of it is that you feel like that your life isn't living insufficient like everybody else, but really everybody else they're investing into their homes. They're investing into their careers. They take a whole lot of time and making their world a glamorous place, but they sacrifice all that time. They sacrifice the eternal. Think about us. We hardly even clean our house. We're just reading in the Bible nonstop. And we feel like we're condemning ourselves, like, oh, how come I'm not investing into my home? How come I'm not taking care of my home like other housewives are taking care of their home? But wait, you're investing into the eternal. Because, like I said, this is just 60, 70 years. It's going to go by so fast. It is so much better. Remember, it says to store up those things in heaven where the thieves cannot steal. Instead of storing everything into your car, storing everything into your home, storing everything. So people make it their duty to get the best job, to get the best career, to get the best college degree, to get the best home, to get the best husband, to get the best, and so they're investing into that which is just temporal. To get the best body, even. Think about all the hours people put in to going and working out, and they're just investing something into that's so temporal. That is so temporal, And so I just want to encourage us that what you're doing is not in vain. In fact, what they are doing is what's in vain. And what you're doing is actually good.
Oh, when we get raptured, I'm like, all that, what people do to the bodies, that's going to be a wash story.
Right, yeah, all that investment, yeah, because they have a whole new body. So it's kind of like they worked hard to get all these muscles, and they're looking like, look at you. You're flimsy. You ain't got no muscle. You ain't got no muscle. And then when it comes down to it, and then we all get our bodies taken from us, and we end up in heaven, they're like, oh, I still got my muscle. I knew it was worth something. They're like, dang, you got the same muscle too. But I spent all that time building my muscles. You don't deserve to have the same muscles I have. Yeah. And so the point is, like, all of us, our new body in heaven, there is no obesity in heaven. We are all fit people. Now, don't get me wrong, of course, there are people who are big boned that are still big boned. We're all not just skinny athlete bodies walking around. Everybody is their own individual, but there's no obesity in heaven. And so we all have a fit body, like no fat, honest kind of thing. In heaven, we all have a fit body. So all that time that they wasted on earth building their muscles, they realized when they got to heaven that it was a waste of time. It is a waste of time. I think I said it before that if we could hear that God is coming back in 10 minutes, somebody, hey, I just tapped into the hotline and I found out Jesus, sure enough, this is it. He's going to be here in 10 minutes. What are we going to do for the next 10 minutes? We're going to go run to all the, oh my God, Jesus, it's coming in 10 minutes. Dude, confess him. Like we're going to go and try to win as many souls that we can, right? Well, to God, 20 years is 10 minutes to God. So even if there's 20 years left, guess what? There is 10 minutes left to God. God needs us. God gave us eternity to have fun. God gave you eternity to be with your soulmate. to be with your loved one. God gave you eternity to have all the pleasures of you. It's now. We give him ourselves now. We give him our ministry now. Because, like, even my kids, they're always like, oh, I want God to come back. When's he coming back? I'm like, you know what? You want him to come back because you know for a fact they're going to heaven. What about all those other people? What about all those that aren't guaranteed in heaven, that haven't come into the salvation of God? You know, and so, you know, like to get out of our selfish zones. And I'm not trying to condemn you for being selfish. We're humans. We're going to want to be selfish, you know? But to try to get out of that rut and to see that our time here is for ministry. Our time is to blow the trumpet, to declare the victory of God. People are hiding in caves because they think that a war is going on, but the war was already finished. The war is already completed. God finished and paid the price at the cross 2,000 years ago. And people are hiding in their caves and not joining the kingdom because they're believing a lie. And see, and every problem that every human has is a direct result of them believing a lie. Think about it. If they're sick, somewhere they don't believe that Jesus Christ paid for their healing. If they're poor right now, somewhere they don't believe that Jesus Christ became poor so that they can become rich. No matter what it is, every single problem that a human has in this world is a direct result of a wrong belief, of them believing a lie. And that's why, and so whatever's going on in their life is a manifestation of that lie. So knowing that we know the truth, and then we seek God, and God has given us this grace to seek his truth, to seek his wisdom, to seek his knowledge. It is our duty, not only duty, but it is your responsibility to go out and share this truth to a dying world, to go out and break the lies of the demonic pressures that are around the people, to break them free. It is our duty and our responsibility. You know, God wishes that none shall perish. So, again, I just want to say, we are all eternal beings. Every single one of us. It's not about whether you're saved or not. Even the atheists, even the non-believers are eternal beings. But guess what? If they don't come to confess Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, the question is, where are they going to spend eternity? The question isn't whether you're going to be eternal. The question is, where are you going to spend eternity? And like, if we can understand, hell is the absence of light, the absence of love, the absence of purpose. I mean, it's a horrifying place. And the more that we understand how horrifying it is, I mean, you wouldn't want to wish your worst enemy there. Your worst enemy, you wouldn't want to wish to hell. Right? So I wanted to finish 2 more lines. Our software is our thoughts. Our software is our prayers, our spirit. That's our software. So if it cannot be weighed, that means, guess what? Our thoughts is not constricted to time. And I loved coming across this lesson because me and Lynn have even done it like lots of times, where we call it retrospectively praying. So sometimes we're driving down the road and I'm passing up my old childhood house. And I just reach my hand over and I start praying. And I say, Lord, I want to pray in the past, Lord. I want to pray that you help me get to exactly right here, right where I got to be, Lord. That you give me all the wisdom that I need in my childhood to get me to where I'm going. So sometimes I'm led to pray according to the past. You know, obviously we always pray for the future. But have you ever prayed for the past? Because I believe that that's how miracles are happening. I believe that because God is outside of time, he is able. So for instance, say if, by the grace of God, I'm going to be healed of cerebral palsy one day. But the moment that I'm healed of cerebral palsy, I think what happened is that God steps into my past to when I'm in the womb, to the moment that I'm receiving that cerebral palsy, and he heals me right there. He heals me in my past, and I see the evidence in my present now. Because he's outside of time. So our prayers are outside of time. So, that day that you got married, you can pray for that day. You can pray that, God, give me the wisdom that I understand and I know now on that day that I got married. Whatever it is, just whatever God leads you to do. Pray for your past. Pray, of course, we know pray for our future, but pray for our past too and pray for our present. Because our thoughts and our prayers and our spirit is not constricted to the time that our bodies are constricted to. Our hardware is constricted to this, but our software is not. So I really believe that the more that we understand this, the more that, I really believe that God is about to drop down miracles and signs and wonders more than ever that we've understood. And I believe that the repentance that our minds need to let his miracles flow through us more and more is to understand that our minds and our tongue and our software and our thoughts and our prayers and our emotions is not constricted to this time span, to these atoms and all that's around. So the real you is software. The real you is not the hardware that you're in, it's software. Okay, I'm just about closing it down. Okay, so I want to go into the millennial years now. Let's go ahead and step in to start seeing how the millennial years are going to look. How Jesus looked after he rose from the dead is our example of how we are going to look. Because God came as man. I don't know if y'all realize this, but God stays a man forever. People think, I've heard somebody say that, well, it wasn't a big deal for God to send his son to die because he knew his son would just come right back. I'm like, what did you just say? Okay, anyways, but it was such a huge deal because he didn't get his son back as the same that he left him. I don't know if y'all seen that story that I wrote about the Chihuahua, the little Chihuahua, and how the little Jesus and God are flying around the universe. He sees a planet of dogs, and then Jesus says, oh, look at those dogs over there, and they're at war with each other, and they're fighting one another, and he says, I want to go, I want to save them, I want to tell them the truth and let them know the war is over and save them, right? But God says, well, son, you can go, but they're not going to accept you as you are. You're going to have to become a dog like them in order for you to go. And he says, okay, yeah, cool, I can do that, I can become a dog. And he says, well, not only do you have to become a dog, but you're going to have to become the smallest dog. And there are Rottweilers down there. They're going to eat you alive, and you got to become a Chihuahua, right? And so Jesus says, it's okay, God, I'll do that. I'll become a Chihuahua, and I'll go there, and I'll tell them the truth. And then at the end he says, but son, realize this, that once you become a Chihuahua, you're going to always have to be a Chihuahua. So God didn't just become man for us, but he gave up his deity. He gave up his kingship, his kingly, the glory that he was surrounded with, and he wrapped himself in the same flesh, and he became man to become man forever. He will forever be a man. So imagine you being a human, and you're strong in all your strength. Now, in order to save a family that you want to save, you've got to become a Chihuahua to save them. But now you have to sacrifice your kingship and become a Chihuahua forever. And you don't even get to return back to the human. That's what Jesus did. He became a man forever, and he's not returning back to his kingly, godly self. You know? So when God gave up Jesus for us, he knew that he was not getting his son back. He knew that his son was returning as a Chihuahua. Analogy comparison. So God, Jesus, is now our example of how we are going to be in the millennial years. When Jesus came as man, and he died as a man, we died with him. When he rose as a man, we rose with him. When Jesus rose from the dead, he received a new body. Another thing that many people haven't been taught, and I didn't run into recently, was, remember whenever Jesus first rose from the dead, and Mary sees him, and Mary goes to touch him, and he says, no, don't touch me, for yet I have not ascended to the Father yet. Right? But then, now here it is, a week later, and he's running into disciples, and here it is Thomas, and he's telling Thomas, touch my hand, touch my side. Now all of a sudden he is touchable. Because one place that you have to go and read in between, see, after Jesus rose from the dead, and Mary seen him and said that do not touch me, I have not ascended to the Father, Jesus then ascended to heaven and went and got his new body. And then he came back and showed up. So when he first rose from the dead, he was probably like some kind of lingering ghost. I don't know exactly what, but obviously he was not tangible yet. He was not tangible. He had to go receive his new body, and then he was tangible. So